The war will end on all fronts, including in Lebanon, and the commitment will be made to no longer be the initiator of war, and that there will be no threats or use of force.
Bibi defies Trump, tries to sabotage U.S. Iran agreement amid escalating Lebanon front tensions. Lebanon front erupts again as Trump pushes to contain widening regional war despite renewed hostilities. Suspected Hezbollah drone hits Israeli military zone. IDF confirms incident after latest cross-border escalation. Sirens shake western Galilee as continuous drone activity and missile alerts heighten civilian anxiety. Second drone intercepted over southern Lebanon skies as air defense systems remain on high alert. Hezbollah claims border clashes with advancing Israeli troops, intensifying uncertainty along the frontier. Rocket barrages target Israeli positions near Majdal Zoun as tit-for-tat exchanges continue across the border. As Iran and Donald Trump edge toward a draft deal, hostilities have renewed on the Lebanon front, with fresh cross-border incidents reported along the border area. A suspected Hezbollah drone struck an Israeli military zone in northern Israel on June 12, according to the IDF, which described it as part of ongoing border tensions. The IDF confirmed that no injuries were reported following the drone impact near the Lebanon border area. Sirens were sounded across multiple towns in the western Galilee as the drone approached the area. The IDF added that a second suspected Hezbollah drone was intercepted over southern Lebanon before it could reach Israeli airspace. The army said the drone was downed over an area where Israeli troops are currently operating near the border. Meanwhile, Hezbollah said its fighters engaged Israeli forces advancing towards southern Lebanon in ongoing clashes. The group claimed it targeted troops near the border town of Majdal Zoun with rocket barrages during the exchanges. Hezbollah said its operatives used light and medium weapons to force Israeli units to withdraw from forward positions. The group also claimed additional attacks on IDF positions across multiple frontline areas in southern Lebanon. Amid the fresh attacks, the IDF issued evacuation warnings for 3 villages in southern Lebanon as tensions escalated. This comes as Iran's foreign minister said a 2-phase U.S. deal would depend on respect and sanctions relief progress.
In the current agreement, which is called a Memorandum of Understanding and is known as the Islamabad Memorandum, or has been named the Islamabad Memorandum, an end to the war is declared on all fronts, including Lebanon. I have said this many times. We have never forgotten Lebanon in this war, because Lebanon and Hezbollah, in any case, fought alongside the people of Iran in this war, and we will never abandon them. The ceasefire that was announced was also for all fronts, including Lebanon. Now, let us set aside the fact that the Zionist regime violated it many times, to which Hezbollah responded. Wherever necessary, we have responded. Regarding our specific Memorandum of Understanding, we are in a situation that, since the negotiations for the final agreement are set to begin after this memorandum for a period of 60 days, and since the nuclear discussions, which the Americans are most interested in, will be raised there, it is natural that if what is stated in the memorandum is not implemented, those negotiations will not progress either. We have this authority, and ultimately, we will not allow it. How could we negotiate for a final agreement while the Memorandum of Understanding has not been implemented? Therefore, there is also a guarantee here that the matters stated or to be stated and signed in the Memorandum of Understanding must be observed by the other party. Iran's blocked assets will also be released according to the Memorandum of Understanding that will be signed. Now, we call this both a Memorandum of Understanding and a letter of intent. It is a matter of translation that anyone might do. Based on this, our assets will also be released and none of our assets can stay blocked. A few scenarios are possible. The first scenario is that both sides are satisfied with the progress of the negotiations, so they decide to extend these 60 days. The agreement also foresees that these 60 days can be extended, meaning if at the end of the 60 days we see that the negotiations have progressed well, for example, And if we negotiate for another 10 days or a month, we might reach an agreement. Then both sides agree and extend it. It is possible that at the end of the 60 days, we reach the conclusion that there is no benefit and that it is not possible to reach an agreement. Well, it is natural that, so to speak, we will not have a final agreement. What will become of the agreements here? Naturally, everyone has the right to return to the previous state. It is possible that an agreement is reached to continue these in some form. I do not want to judge from now because it really depends on what position we are in at the end of the 60 days, how much the negotiations have progressed, and what kind of atmosphere we are ultimately facing. Two important topics that have been referred to in the final agreement are the lifting of Iran's sanctions and nuclear issues. Regarding the nuclear issues mentioned here, the discussion involves enrichment, which must be addressed there, specifically how it will be conducted. The discussion will also cover Iran's enriched materials and the stockpiles of Iran's enriched materials, which will be determined there, so to speak. Of course, our position has always been, and it has been our logical stance, that if these are to be decided upon, in our view, the only method for high-level enriched materials, specifically the 60% materials, is their dilution within Iran. And in my opinion, this response of ours, attaching Israel, was also another strategic achievement, as we were the initiators of the offensive for the first time, to punish a regime that had in any case violated its commitments. In the global arena, this was recorded as a strategic victory for Iran, demonstrating that Iran is not joking, and if necessary, it is not only unafraid of war but will employ it wherever it is required. The war will end on all fronts, including in Lebanon, and the commitment will be made to no longer be the initiator of war, and that there will be no threats or use of force. Both sides will respect each other's sovereignty, and I believe this is the first time in 47 years that the United States has explicitly respected the sovereignty of the Islamic Republic of Iran, stated it, put it in writing, and requested that we, in turn, respect the sovereignty of the United States. It commits to not interfering in Iran's internal affairs and asks us to commit to not interfering in its internal affairs, meaning from a position of complete equality. I think this is one of the most important clauses of this agreement, that respect for the Islamic Republic of Iran, respect for the sovereignty of the Islamic Republic of Iran, has been established. I must explicitly state that this agreement has enemies, at the forefront of which is the Zionist regime, and they are looking for pretexts to disrupt this agreement. Agreement is a two-way street. Negotiation is a two-way street. We reach an agreement when both sides have a level of satisfaction. It is not necessarily always 50-50, but ultimately, both sides must have reached a point of satisfaction to consent to what is called an understanding. There is no agreement, no accord, where one side has won 100 and the other side 0. In my opinion, this is a self-evident matter in diplomacy. In these circumstances, threats are not only ineffective but also set back a potential agreement. Threats must stop, and we must speak with the language of respect in order for us to reach an agreement. Our position is clear. If we were going to give in to force and pressure, we would have done so long ago. If threats of attacking infrastructure, threats of attacking this and that was supposed to make us back down, we would have backed down long ago, which we haven't. Very clear messages were sent to the other side that threats have the opposite effect. If you want to move toward an understanding, the rhetoric must change. If you want to move toward threats, pressure, and war, we are ready and we will go there, just as they have experienced us every night over the past few nights. If we were going to back down, we would have backed down last night. There has not been a single night where there has been an aggression against our armed forces or our ships without our armed forces responding immediately. Iran has proven itself in this matter. The nature of the opposing parties is such that they commit breach of promise and create 1,001 problems in implementation. We have this experience with them. I must state here that we should expect various problems in the implementation of both this Memorandum of Understanding and that final agreement. If we reach it, we are not dealing with parties that are fully committed to their obligations. They use every opportunity for breach of promise. It is us who must close the paths to breach of promise. And we must have the capability to rely on our own strength and not allow them to fail to fulfill their obligations.